by this Emmanuel. So before we start, let me present the main sponsor of this meetup, which is xgeeks. I'm Luís. I'm the head of engineering at xgeeks. So what is xgeeks? So we are a company focused on engineering, made by engineers for engineers. We focus on providing capacity to other companies and projects. Okay. We are more than 90 now. We are around 90 engineers. We have offices in 3 locations, so Lisbon, Leiria, and Viseu. We have more than 15 active projects, and we have a lot of Medium articles and views, and we put a lot of effort into live stream events. So if you check, I will show you our YouTube. But if you check our YouTube, you can find a lot of interesting streams, mainly about Java, but it's something that we are trying to diversify. So you will also find this recording on our YouTube after Pedro finishes with the edit. We want to put a lot of effort in the community and building community. That's why we are here and we are sponsoring this event. Despite we xgeeks are the main sponsor, this doesn't mean that if you guys want to help us and contribute to the event, well, this is an open meetup. It's not an xgeeks meetup, so feel free to reach out, and if you want, you can help us with this. Our network. So if you want to know more about us in terms of what we do on the engineering side, you can follow our Medium, YouTube, GitOps, and Twitter. And if you want to check out its life at xgeeks, you can obviously follow Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. As I said, being community-driven is part of our DNA. That's why we are here. That's why we want to continue to bet on meetups and probably try to kickstart even more. But now we are here with the Kubernetes one. And let's get into the meetup. I will present the agenda. So yeah, we are late. We are 15 minutes late. So, but now we will have Bruno Lopes with testing Kubernetes applications using Cloud Native tools. Okay, and after that, it will be Luís Serra's turn with, have you ever heard of GitOps? That's nice title. And after, we will have some drinks and we will order some pizza, so you are welcome to stay. We will have dinner, beer, wine, and juice, and water as well. So let's give a hand for
So my name is Bruno. I'm the product leader for the year about called Testing. And today I just want to have a casual talk about testing in Kubernetes in a native way. Just before I start, how many of you raise your hands if you ever did any integration tests on Kubernetes? If you ever written or did any test automation? So a few hands. Right. So you might feel some of the pains here. For the ones that you never tried before, you might hear new things, and the tool might be able for you to start doing more tests, because also helps for the ones that are not very, let's say, experienced in Kubernetes. So it's also a good way to get started in testing Kubernetes. So let's talk first about what's the current state of application testing in Kubernetes today. So the large majority of testing frameworks are not built with Kubernetes in mind. I'm not sure if you ever tried Cypress, Postman, K8s for load testing. Probably you have ever heard about these tools. Still work, they are great tools, but Kubernetes is not their first class. They are not the first class citizen in Kubernetes, right? They are just adapted or integrated there. If you ever try to do those tests in your CI/CD pipeline, you'll probably have some tests, some steps, and you might notice that the pipelines start getting very complex. You have a lot of steps, and you want to test different environments. And if you want to change things on your environments, you also have to do a lot of changes in your CI/CD as well. So it's gets a lot complex. Also, if you ever unsure if there are a lot of QAs here, but sometimes, especially in big corporates, you have restricted access to environments that you want to test. So you might be very blocked in some ways you can test things. Sometimes just some people can run tests, or automating and having access to those environments, like maybe you want to test in production, you don't have access to that, you need to prevent that using VPNs and all of that. So there are a lot of hurdles right now in how can you do this application test. And if you use, especially if you use different tools, there's not a lot of synergy. You can use, let's say, you just do functional testing using Postman, you can do some load testing using K8s, and you don't combine the results. You just use one tool, you see what are the results of that tool in the pipeline, and if you want to see the results of the other tool, then you need to go someplace else. So there's not a lot of synergy. And if you are a DevOps person that needs to configure all this, you need to configure runners in your Kubernetes cluster to run all of these things, right? So not ideal right now. So how would we like to have a testing workflow for applications that are running there? You want simple CI/CD pipelines without total testing. So if you remove the testing part from your CI/CD pipeline, gets a lot simpler, right? Basically, build, test in a pipeline, then you have supply. In very simple things. You will probably want to implement restricted access URLs. So that should not be a blocker for you to test your applications. And using different tools might become a burden for you. That maybe you found this new tool that you want to test, and you just imagine, hey guys, we should do load testing, right? And you probably have a DevOps person. You probably spend some efforts, talk with your product manager to add that to the roadmap. So there's complexity to add training tools to add those kinds of tests. So something that you want is not to make it very hard to try and add more tests, so that you have a healthy way of adding more tests. Things also that you want to do, because as systems get more complex, might be harder to debug what is happening in your cluster. You have a lot of microservices, especially in Kubernetes, that can do that, and might be complex just figure out, okay, what is failing, what test it is, and the environment as well. And all of that, if it's very high effort to maintain, it gets cumbersome to do anything more. So with that all in mind, we will test view. So we're part of the Cloud Native Foundation here. You see part of the continuous integration delivery category, and the goal for us to be the testing framework that for all your testing needs in Kubernetes, and make really tests very native to Kubernetes, so you don't have that effort of integration between each other. So how can really testing help you with these goals? You can simplify your testing workflow by removing a lot of hurdles. So I'm going to just go over briefly of the points. I'm going to do a demo in a bit, so we'll see more what I'm talking about. But simplifying testing workflow allows you to write more tests and spend less time there. Debugging is also part of what you do. If you are developers, you probably spend a lot of time debugging for sure. Yeah, we find this very handy. Also, the centralized management for other testing frameworks. Because if you use many, this might become a problem just to manage the synergy between all of them, seeing the results, debugging, and if you want to match the results of different tools to debug what's the root cause of problems, that will become an issue. Also, something that you'll be able to do is extend GitOps to your testing Kubernetes. So there's a talk by Serra that is going to talk about GitOps. So I'm not going to go extend it out here. It's also very important. So testing tools that we can do. So if you use these ones, we already support those. K8s, K8s, Postman, SoapUI. But this will be very extensive. So K8s, SoapUI were contributed very recently. Some of them by external contributors that started just using TestView and other things there. You can just later on you can check out how to add one. You just can just contribute very easily. It's an open source project. So theoretically, any tool can be supported. You just cannot that support to it. So basically, you can use it using a CLI, which I think most of you are more comfortable with, and using a user interface. So because testing tries to be a tool that is very good for DevOps people and also for QA testers, we found it is very important to create it to both sides. So we have a CLI that is very native to most DevOps persons, and the UI that is also very easy for people that are not very experienced with Kubernetes. They want to run the test, but they do not want to know to get very technical with it. How you can tell test cube is really for you is if integration testing is part of your development life cycle, you want to do integration tests, so definitely this is for you. If you feel like your testing activities are too tightly coupled with your CI/CD, especially if you mess with CI/CDs and you have testing there, you'll find this very useful. If you look at test results often, the same thing happens, and especially with the part of restrictions. So because test cube runs in your cluster, and the tests are executed inside there with the executors and the runners, there's not a problem of having access to it because the tests are running inside the cluster already. So the flow is very simple with the test cube. You basically create the tests using our normal tools like Postman, Cypress, as you usually use. You don't need to use test cube in these sites. So after you create the test, then you tell test cube, hey, here's my test. I want to define my test as, let's say, banana. I don't know. And so you find that test in the cluster called banana. And after that, you can just say test cube run my banana test. And after that, it's part of the cluster, and you can run it and see the results as many times as you want. So very integrable with Argo CD. I'm not sure if you heard about Argo CD or perhaps Flux. It's a tool that allows you to adopt the GitOps model. It's become a trend in the last couple of years, I might say, that you want to have most of your state of the cluster applications in a version control way. So you can have tests as part of the of your Git repository using new commits. Argo CD would basically sync that with your cluster, and then you don't just need to trigger tests, just do a commit with a new version of the test, and you already defined before that the test is called banana, and then you just execute test debate, run this test, and it's automatically done. So let's go then. Right, so this is a live demo, so this is a cluster running live on AWS. And so there's I'm going to first explain the concepts here. So we have the concept of tests and test suites. So test is any test you write using our framework. You can use tests running using Postman, using symbol here, run tests using Cypress. We are just supporting K8s and any tool. And then also you can, if you want to group those tests, you can have labels to them, and you can also put them inside test suite. So basically, test suite is a collection of different tests of any type that you like. You can just, maybe you want to make an end-to-end test, you can do Postman test, Cypress test, K8s test, all in the same test suite, and then you just trigger the test suite. Let's say this one called test cube. You can just say run, and you can see it here running. You can see all the steps here. Is running this step. We can add delays here, the steps. Now it's here. So the delay now is just in the dashboard. It's the easy one. Another delay. Then test cube performance. I think this is the K8s test. So basically, we also something that we do. We do something called dogfooding, because test cube tests itself. Like it's testing framework that we written test itself. So it is demo cluster that if you want to check out later in our website, then just say here, and if you go there now and trigger test, you'll see it here happening. And it's actually testing the same. And it's part of our CI/CD pipelines as well. So basically, yeah, this is basically the live environment that we have. Let me show you. So basically, what executes these tests are something that we call executors. So let me put my terminal. Everything like tests, test suites, executors are CRDs. Do you know what CRDs are? Have you heard of it? Yeah, cool. So basically, they are Kubernetes resources, and you can define those things in Kubernetes. So if I do so kubectl, this tool, get executors. me see the internet. Right, cool. So yeah, support curl. So basically, if you have curl, the test, also the dash, Cypress, P6, Postman, and so PY. And try to, let's say, edit executors. So K is short for kubectl, it's my alias. So I'm not sure if you can see, maybe I need to increase the size. This is the curl executor. What basically is his image here, a Docker image. So basically, there's a Docker image with curl installed that will take the curl test and run it for you. Same thing with Cypress. Basically, it's always a job somewhere. You define the test, it takes that Cypress test, runs it, and then brings out the result to test you, and you can centralize the results there. So it's very easy, it's very pluggable. It's what you can see, the way that you can just define any executor for any type of test that you want. You can even invent your own framework, and it should work in testing as well. So let me see. Also, I can show you the test. So this here you can see on the left side. We have the test. I can say. We have. By the way, we have the CLI, which is kubectl, is a kubectl plugin. You can say test kube run test Kubeshop. So it's kitchen started. So you might see now it's running here on the left. And okay, very fast. So just see now the results here. And this test here is just a Postman. So if you ever use Newman, which is the tool that runs tests from Postman, you might be very familiar with this output here. So what this basically did was just a test to our website, a simple HTTP call. So basically, you can just define any test there. And you can follow as well. So if you want to automate this, you can follow and put this in your CI/CD. And basically, if the test is a success, you see a status code returning 0. But if it's a failing, let me see. Let me run a test that fails in progress. So this one, test with by fail. So if I run this, test it. Wait, need to follow. Right, so see, like you failed, and you can put this like automatically the way that fails just your steps there. And the same like executors, they are CRDs. So if I go here, I can edit the tests. So basically, they are you put the data here. I'm going to show you a bit how to create a YAML like this. But basically, they are a kind of test for test tube. Just say the content data, and you can be part of the YAML, but you can also put in Git. So let me show you how let's create a test here. Let me just open my notes. So let's create a Cypress one. So here you can see the repository for one of our executors for Cypress. And we have an example with a simple code that just tests our dashboard. So how can you create a test? So you just do basically test cube. So this is my alias, by the way, DK for kubectl test cube. And I can do create test. I can just say -git URI to see the place where it is. I can copy the repository. I'm going to say that Git branch is the main one, and the Git path is examples. So basically, this is the part of the examples. And name. So, what name should we give this guys? So So believe me, it's an app. Banana? It's not a different one.
Cast xgeeks.
Text xgeeks, okay. Text xgeeks. And then the type. So it's going to be a Cypress project. And so test created. And so let us see the tests here. Refresh. Oh, here it is. Test xgeeks. So let's run it. So I'm going to open here and click run. And wait a second. So yes, this is just some Cypress is a problem with running in Kubernetes. Some small errors, and I should test QB6 in that because it's right now it's very hard to import Cypress in Kubernetes without test. So something that you can do with Cypress is you can run your Cypress to test your user interface. So you can create videos where you can see the buttons being clicked, and if you run those tests in Kubernetes, it's very hard for you to get those videos out of the Kubernetes cluster and see them. Right? You need to store them somewhere, maybe in an S3 bucket, and then see what's their content basically. So something that test does for you is also save all of those artifacts. It does this for Cypress, but if you have other tools that also have the artifacts, also work the same way. By the way, let me show you that edit test. What was the name? Test xgeeks. So this is what is basically the spec file of the test we created. So we just set on that command line that is in the main branch, the examples folder on this part, and yeah. So this is enough to basically pick up all of your Cypress tests and to run them. So yeah, let me see if it's done. Okay, it failed. Let's see why it failed. So I'm going to download this file here. I'm going to open it, and now it's testing so this is basically our website here, and this is a Cypress test. And yeah, so test that some guy wrote. So basically in the morning, the test at 10 seconds. So somebody from my team just did a completed test and did a bigger one. But you can see that this test, yeah, basically if you Cypress, you are familiar with this interface. Yeah, I think that's it. Any question you have until now, I can show you regarding TestCube and the way this works. Okay.
The repository, if you open the TestCube command, you show us.
Open the, sorry?
The TestCube command you show us in the CLI terminal.
Yeah.
It says TestCube execute cypress.git and then type cypress/project. Is that mentioned in the Git repository, or where is this type coming from?
That's a good question. So basically, that we have a main repository. So the way we support this is that how can I? Let me just. So if I get edit executors, so you mentioned that the type of the project is Cypress project, right? So when I define the executors, you might see that Cypress here, what is it? Is the types. So basically, when you define the executor, define which types are you watching for, and when there's a test of the type Cypress project, this executor will basically take this image, get the test, and run it for you. So if I just have here more types and you define other tests with those types, they will get it. Cool. So yeah, so I think that's basically it. We have more on the roadmap to come, like a lot of features. We want to add authentication for this as well, using OAuth, using a wizard for to create a test instead of using the command line. Integrations with a lot of CI/CD tools like using GitHub Actions, more executors, and whatever you ask for. So if you like the tool, if you feel like this will help you with your integration tests, give it a try. We are on Discord. We are pretty much all the time there. Just ask us a question there. We do the same thing. And yeah, check us all out. Thank you. If you have any more questions, you can always reach me later.
Can you show us again a pipeline where you have the action that calls the test queue for testing, just to see how it simply it might be when you put that action.
You mean show you the pipeline on Git?
Because that was one of your main selling flags that it will. So if you have one example, I'm not sure if you already showed it or not.
No, so I didn't show you the GitHub Actions. Like I can show it together right now. We can watch it together because I also didn't. I'm not I didn't saw it yet. The thing.
I saw the diagram, but I would like to see if you have a simple example to see how simple it gets.
The pipe, yeah. Let me see if I can show you something.
I'm not sure if you said that you already have some test kits.
So I'm trying to think of I can show you too. So, but basically,
or
the way
maybe later,
is,
if you.
Yeah, the way to figure this is you notice the difference of having the test on the cluster as we defined, or having the test in the pipeline. So if you have a test in the pipeline, they'll basically cannot call it as an API.
You included the command line in there.
Exactly. So you just put the command line in there.
It's a script call in the action.
Exactly. So right now you can use the command line, but in the future, our roadmap is to make people not use a command line tool, but actually use a plugin.
Or a template for.
Yeah. So that's all. That's a good question. So yeah, later I can show you. We can talk about it. I think that's it, guys. Thanks a lot.
Hello everyone, my name is Luís Serra. I'm a DevOps Engineer at xgeeks, and today I will talk a little bit with you about GitOps. The agenda for today, so I will explain you the main concept of GitOps, some context about it, and at the end of the presentation, some use cases and some topics that I personally think that are very important to discuss before implementing. So, to start this presentation, what the hell is GitOps? So, GitOps is an approach that uses a version control system, as known as Git, to manage the configuration of your infrastructure. And what I mean with infrastructure is from your infra to your application state in a declarative way, or as you prefer, as Sir Alexis Richardson said, on a more clear way, the idea that Git is a single source of truth for the whole system. But to give you some context, how did we get here? It's important to see what was the necessity of using and implementing GitOps. So we no more deploy our things manually, ideally, okay? This is not a rule, but there are some already today, nowadays, a lot of things that we are running on our infrastructure are deployed as code. This main topic that is access code. Everything today is deployed as code. Our infrastructure, our policy, our security, and so on and so on. And for that, a lot of tools that I think you already may know came from the CNCF landscape, of course, like Terraform, Ansible, Kubernetes, Pulumi, and some more, Elm, and so on. But GitOps basically uses these tools and improves the collaboration of your team to use these tools. But first, what the hell is a declarative infrastructure? And now you are saying that you have two kinds of infrastructure. Yeah, basically, we can have a declarative or imperative infrastructure. The main differences between them: declarative defines a desired end of state of your infra. Okay, so at the left side you can see it's like a Terraform file. Okay, it doesn't mean that you can have variables, of course, but you say whatever you want. Okay, the imperative approach: you define and run commands on a specific order. Okay, so you say what I want now, and don't how I want it. Okay. What are the principles of this new approach? Declarative. Okay, so everything must be declarative in a declarative way on your version control system. Versioning, because it uses Git, so all your status and your current state and your previous state will be versioned. Automation, so when you commit, like Bruno said, when you push a commit, something will trigger and apply that change to your environment. And of course, imperative, because an agent, an operator, a tool will be always looking for your state, for your desired state, and see if it matches with your actual state. It doesn't matter if anyone will mess with your environment and manually change it, but something will then in the future put it back to the desired state. And to achieve to achieve GitOps, there are two different approaches that is push-based or pull-based. I will talk the difference between them. A push-based is what you call a CI, typical CI/CD. So you have a pipeline to do your continuous integration, some tests, some install packages, and so on. Doesn't matter. And then you will have a trigger or a deployment pipeline that will deploy your infrastructure or your application. If you are talking about Kubernetes, for example, we are talking about an Elm command or kubectl apply and so on. But GitOps uses a different approach, and I think Bruno already touched it. So your CI part, it will remain the same. You have to install, test, and so on, all of those steps. But then an operator will be constantly pulling and observe your Git to see what is the desired state of your application and your environment. But now you ask, okay, this is very simple to apply if you have only one environment and only one application. How can I deploying it or using it if I have multiple applications and multiple environments? It's still the same. So your CI part, your continuous integration will do the same, and then you can use two approaches for that. So your environment, let's call it environment repo, will have different branches to represent your different environments, okay? Or you can use, for example, different folders to represent also those different environments. This, I think, is the most common, the most useful way to do it, okay? Because you can also use the Git flow, pull requests, and so on, or merge requests on GitLab to follow the state between the different environments. Like always, there is some pros and cons on these new approaches. On the pros side, so we have the first two are kind of related, because if you have something that will see your desired state, you can use it to easily make a replication and to replicate it over and over and over again. And with that, okay, you can achieve faster disaster recovery. Okay. The most important one is immutable. So once again, if someone messes with your environment or your infrastructure, a tool will be responsible to solve it or to put it on the desired state. Self-documented changes and easy rollback. These are achieved by the Git, so your commit message should be clear enough to see what was the last change. And if you mess with that change, theoretically, okay, because you can have like a migration, database migration, and so on. But theoretically, and rollback is very easy. It's just a git revert command. Okay. One source of truth again, and security simplification, because on a CI/CD approach, a normal approach, let's say that, you have to deal with a lot of agents that runs your CI/CDs and so on that has some kind of authentication with your cluster, and this doesn't happen because you have only one thing on your cluster watching your Git repo, so you just have to deal with this authentication on this flow. On the const file side, files, and more files. So think about it, because all your infrastructure state will be described, okay, on files. Lack of visibility, so it's not very easy or very quick to see what is the state of your different environments and different applications. So because you have to check that application repo on that specific branch, so it's not that quick. Secrets management, everything must be declaratively on your reps. So the secrets are also part of that infrastructure. So here you have to deal with the secrets being stored on your Git side. For that, you have some tools that can help that management. For example, the sealed secrets that will not encode but encrypt your secrets with the key that then your Kubernetes will consume and be able to decrypt. Okay. Audit, because audit is not very easy. You will have to somehow trust in your users, because they will review your pull requests and they will accept it, and you can't verify it or you can't audit it properly, because you have to trust in your team, in your mates. Okay. Complexity overhead, it will be another layer. So no question about this. It's another layer on your application. And API throttling, a tool will be constantly checking the state of your application or your environment on your repo. Okay. Another question is, should I use a Git approach then? And to that question, my answer in Portuguese is, what in English means, yeah, more. So let's see. There are topics that I think that you should discuss with your team to see if GitOps makes sense to you. Okay. First of all, priority. Check if implementing GitOps is a priority for your project at this moment. You have some examples that I can give you. You have a big project that you want to replicate it fast and quick. Okay, GitOps could be a nice solution for that. You have a very, very simple project with 2 microservices and nothing more. Probably this will put some complexity that it's not valuable enough. Okay. You have a, let's say, normal project, whatever you would call normal, but you don't have logging and monitoring at all. Probably this is not a priority, because this will be such an automated thing. It's good to be sure that your system is monitored, and you can see everything that is happening. Okay. Team knowledge, very, very important as well. For example, if you are trying to deploy something to your Kubernetes cluster and you are using Helm for that, make sure that your team knows how to deal with Helm. I already saw some people trying to debug Helm chart with Flux, for example. It's not the best approach. So every time that person wants to debug a chart, he was committing a change, see what happened on Flux, and then, oh no, that was an error, and let's commit it again. So make sure it's not his fault, of course, but make sure that your team knows and has enough knowledge about the tools that you already have. Time, It will take you some time, okay, to implement GitOps. Your approach will change. You have to explain this process to your team. Take some time for that. Your secrets management will change probably. Test it properly because you have secrets, credentials, and so on your Git repo. Make sure that your encryption tool, wherever you want to choose, is working properly. Take some time to test it, okay? Complexity, once again, see if it's a valuable change for the complexity of your solution, okay? If it's a very, very simple project, probably, and your CI/CD is working perfectly and you don't see that GitOps will bring you anything more, probably you have to discuss this. And then components. You don't have to use GitOps for all your components. And what I mean with components, you can use, for example, only GitOps to deploy your infrastructure. You can use GitOps to deploy your applications, and you can use, of course, to deploy both of those things, okay? But now that you already discussed these topics with your team, you are convicted that you want to use GitOps, and well, what tools can I do it? Because I don't want to do it by hand, okay? First of all, don't forget you need a Git tool. If you are still sharing your code on a zip file, probably it's not the best approach, or on an FTP server, or an SVN. Yeah, this is not for you, okay? And now the real tools. Some of them are here. Bruno already mentioned two of them. The most common one, Argo and FluxCD, but there are more. From Flux, GitQ, Jenkins, and so on and so on. This last one, for example, is Atlantis. That is a GitOps tool for a Terraform pool, Terraform dimension as a Terraform pull request automation. So it's a tool specific to achieve GitOps on your infrastructure. Okay, there are plenty more. You can check, for example, on Awesome. I think it's Awesome GitOps, Git repo from Weaveworks with a lot of information about GitOps, talks, books, tools, and so on and so on. And of course, on CN CF landscape at the same section as XGeks, okay? And now I will make a small demo, okay, that I kindly prepared for you this evening. So if it will work, I don't know, but it shouldn't work because it's a live demo, okay? My demo is very simple. What I did,
It's a live one.
Good call. Okay, so there is it. What I did, very simple. I just cloned this repository that came from Flux. This is a repo. Can you see? Sorry, I think I can put it bigger. Okay, this is a repo with some examples. This is coming from Flux, okay. A quick overview about this repo. So you have your cluster described here, your infrastructure applications here, and your real applications or the things that you are developing on this folder, okay. With infrastructure tools or things, I mean this kind of things. An nginx controller, a Redis, a cert manager, for example, those kind of tools, okay? I can see anything, okay? On the clusters, and as you can see, this is approach where we separate our environments by folders. We have two described clusters, so we have a staging and a production. And basically, these are all YAML files that will include the other files that I already showed you, okay? Now I have here, a simple cluster that I just installed it or set up using K8s. So let me make kubectl get pods / all namespaces. So as you can see, there are what is running is the common or the default pods or DNS and so on and so on, local storage and the basic the basic things of Kubernetes. And now let me see if I did it properly. So let me try to bootstrap Flex. The command is very simple, so you just have to do this, Flex bootstrap GitHub. Now say what is your Git user, the repo, the branch that you want to watch, where is the path, and here is where you change if this is the staging or the production cluster. Then the personal and private, this is because I'm using my private repo. Okay. Let's wait some minutes. No, not some minutes. Just one, I guess. Okay. As you can see, Flux is starting already 4 pods, okay? So one that it will control my Elm releases, one that it will control my customized or .yaml files that you saw, one that will manage the notifications, and the other is the source. So it's the service that is responsible for checking or being constantly checking your repo. And as you can see down there, let me just perform Flux get all -a for all namespaces. And as you can see here you will find all the releases that you have running, managed by Flux. So I asked Flux to run. Let me see this way. So I kindly ask for Flux to here, okay, to run for me on my infra and nginx, sorry, and the Redis database. And my application is just a common. It's just a common pod. Okay, let me show you. It's a common pod. Okay, that will then link to my Redis, and you can see here. So these are the repositories that my Flux is trying to get my own shards. Okay, that is configured on your sources folder. Then this is the actual shard. Okay, I want an nginx and Qualify on the Redis, and this is the releases part. So what is actually running on my cluster? Okay. So the release reconciliation succeeds. So reconciliation, sorry, it's the process that Flux makes to see if your desired state matches your actual state. And now let's try to break all these things. So let me go to my infrastructure, okay, and now nginx, and now my release. I don't want to use the short version, for example. This is a very common change. So I want to use the short version 9.1.12 instead of 9.1.11. Let's save. Short change, short version. Let's commit this change. And then soon you will see that this release right here will start the reconciliation process again, okay? Because why? Because Flux now has to pull the nginx ingress control, the short version 9.1.12, okay? And now it's trying to do the reconciliation, and if I go quickly to this, okay, to this namespace, as you can see, you already deal with the deployment of this ingress controller that is running, right here, 16 seconds ago. Let me see if Flux can finish that reconciliation part. Yeah, it's a seed, so everything must be running. Okay, that pod is already terminating. You can terminate whatever you want, okay? Yeah, guys, this was a very, very, very simple demo. So just to show you how you can quickly install Flux and put it to work. Of course, that you can then put a lot of other things. I just want to grab their example from their repo to show you live that is very simple to use GitOps and using plugs at this time. Thank you so much once again. On this QR code you can find all our my LinkedIn, xgeeks LinkedIn, some cool or some links that I think that are useful for you if you want to check, like GitOps community, the CNCF landscape, and some others. Okay. Thank you so much for your time. I don't know if you have some questions for me.